right, good morning, Ridge Point Church. Good to see everybody. Glad you guys are socializing and kind of hanging out and all that. That's really cool. Listen, really glad you guys chose to worship with us this morning. You did get an extra hour of sleep, but aside from that, though, the other piece of it is it's so nice out there. So many things you could be doing. You chose to spend an hour and a half with us, so really do appreciate that. I want to welcome you here. We'd love to connect with you throughout the week, right? And so part of that, one of the ways we can do that is through a connection card. So you can do a digital connection card where you can text the word welcome to 863-965-2464. You can scan the QR code that's back there on the poster as you came in, or you can always pen and paper it, right? You can go analog and you can fill out a connection card. But really just so we want to be able to connect with you, reach out to you, say thanks for coming, answer any questions you might have, whatever, right? It's not like we're going to show up on a Tuesday afternoon and knock on your door and want to sit down and talk to you, unless you really want that, and then we can make that happen. So fill out that connection card, like I said, either paper or online. If you fill out one of these, you can drop it in the slot on the way out. It says give in person. You can give your card up. Speaking of welcoming and new questions and things like that, we have an environment for folks that are new to Ridge Point Church just for that. Maybe you've got some questions. You want to know a little bit more about Ridge Point, about our purpose, our passion, our values, things that we feel like God has called us to do, whether it be in this community or whether it be at the edge of the earth, which we'll talk about a little bit today. But maybe you're kind of new to Ridge Point and you want to know a little bit more about it. We've got an environment just for that called Discover RPC. Okay, Discover RPC is about 15 minutes after the service where you can meet the staff and key leadership of the church here, kind of go around and see the spaces, ask whatever questions. The next one of those is happening next Sunday. All right, so if you're interested, you can text the word Discover to 863-965-2464. You can put it on your connection card, whatever, and let us know that. If you're unsure, if you're undecided and you're kind of going to wing it and play it by ear, that's fine. If next week you show up and go, oh man, I didn't register, or I think I want to do that, you can just show up at the coffee bar after service. Either way works, right? We're flexible. And so, but really, we want to offer that chance to you to get to know Ridge Point Church a little bit more. So listen, today is a special day, all right? I mean, every day's a special day, I guess, if we really want to get technical. But today is a special day because today we're doing our Honduras wrap-up. Okay, so we're going to kind of come up, and the group's going to come up, and we're going to talk about kind of our trip to Honduras, and so it's really a super duper special day, and just really glad that you're here for that. My prayer for today is that God just touch your heart in some way, right? Not necessarily asking you to become a missionary or go get your passport or whatever, but maybe, okay? I just pray that God make your heart open and receptive to what he has for you. Because that may just mean, it may be as simple as getting involved here. We'll talk about more about that toward the end of the service. Getting involved here in Ridge Point, getting involved in the community or whatever. But my prayer is that God make your heart receptive, right? He make the ground fertile and your heart receptive for what he's got to speak to you about today. Because he's got something for each of us. I just pray that it make it through, it stick, and it go on with you, okay? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day. God, I thank you for all that you do here in the church, in the community. Just God, all that you do through us. I pray that you'll continue that good work, Lord, the good work that you've started in us, the good work that you've started through us. Lord, I just pray that as we move through this service, God, you speak to us. You speak to each of us, Lord, in a way that only you can. And so, Lord, I just pray as, Lord, just touch us. Touch us in a way that we can't leave it here, that we have to take it out there, out the doors, into the world, and do something about it. God, bother us enough that we won't be able to shake this off until we actually put feet to whatever it is you plant in us this morning. So, Lord, I just thank you for that. I pray that as we go through the service, that you just continue to bless all that we do. May you be pleased with what we have to offer you. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Good morning, Rich Point. Let's stand and worship together. See is the battle, you see my victory. When all I see is a mountain, you see a mountain move. And as I walk through the shadow, your love surrounds me. Nothing to fear now, for I am safe with you. So when I fight, I'll fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet, and I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And if you are for me, who can be against me? For Jesus, there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the ashes, you see the beauty. When all I see is a cross, God, you see an empty tomb. So when I fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet, and I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. An almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. So when I fight on my knees, with my hands lifted high. Oh God, the battle belongs to you, and every fear I lay at your feet, and I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. die, you wouldn't let me go. The riches of your grace I cannot afford. My guilt has been erased, now I'm forever yours. Oh, what a price you paid, trading the highest place. Lay down your crown for me, and how great a king.
From death, life has begun, a garden from the grave, bursting through the night. Yours is the victory. From death, life has begun, a garden from
15 years ago, we got a chance to meet the leadership at Trash Mountain Project. They were local at the time. They were a fledgling organization that we had never really even heard of. And they started to share a vision to assist in Tegucigalpa, Honduras, which eventually expanded to the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, to Africa, and different parts of the world, to rescue people that are living and working in trash dump communities. But early on, they got a chance to come to Ridge Point Church, kind of share the vision as they were just beginning. And the only mission field they were going to at that point was in Tegucigalpa. And that year, we got a chance to go. And over the last 15 years, we've had a chance to go almost every year during those 15 years until the last 4 years. Kind of COVID and travel restrictions put a hindering on our being able to travel. So we wanted a chance. We don't always get a chance after going on a trip to be able to do a rewind and talk about that trip. But this year we want to be able to do that for two reasons. Number one, it was the first time that we've gone in 4 or 5 years. So a lot of us are new to Ridge Point Church and haven't heard kind of about that experience. But number two, we worked with a new organization called Project Rohi. And as we worked with that missions agency, for a lot of us, it was an intensely personal trip. One of the most personal trips I think that we've been on, even those who are veteran. Karen said it's the most intentional trip she's been on because it was her first trip. But we had a chance to really have this, man. There was a camaraderie that was built up with the staff there. And so I want to share kind of a little bit about that journey, use our pictures to try as much as possible to describe the feeling, the emotions, the sights, the taste, the smells of what we experienced while we were there in Honduras. But Caleb, we want to start off with you. Yeah, that's kind of a dangerous thing, I know.
I'm ready.
But I start off with Caleb, and one of the things we hope to communicate today is the camaraderie and the love that this team experienced. We'll have 2 sessions. Half the team's up here now. We'll sing a couple more songs, and then the other half will join us. But Caleb, share a little bit, because you've been there since day one. As a teenager, you went on that first ever trip that we took to Honduras. So talk a little bit over the course of the last 15 years. What kind of changes have you seen in Honduras and specifically in Tegucigalpa?
I think a lot of it, honestly, is it comes across a lot safer than the first year.
Yeah.
I mean, the first day we got there, from the airport to the hotel, you see death. And from that, just the despair that obviously there's still trash. There's trash 15 years, there's trash 15 years later. That has not changed. Unfortunately, that's why we go. That's part of the purpose of why we go, to help those people in need, to build a home for those, in that Project Rohi, that school, because there's still the need for the kids. The kids, they age out and they grow up, but there's still kids coming behind them, and that school is still there to help, help those kids that are in that community. That's the other thing. We're still in the same community, which is great. We're not bouncing around communities. We're with the same church, same community that has been working there the whole time, and we get the opportunity to help serve and help be with those people in need. They know Ridge Point Church when they show up, every year.
Yeah.
For me, every 4 years, but it's that opportunity every 4 years. They're like, he's back, or they're back, whatever,
Right.
But just the opportunity at Ridge Point provides that community to enlighten and provide hope through what was AFE, but through Project Rohi. Even with everything else, when you think of like the government and everything, like I said, it's getting safer. Doug was having a conversation with our bus driver's son one night at supper, and Alejandro mentioned that he likes what the president's doing, and he's been making a lot of change, and you can tell there's been a lot of change. It is helping, and it feels like a place that if you've kind of been on the verge and you have felt unsafe about going because of the uncertainties, like, why not now? There's no better time than now, because it is. We stay together as a group. You let me drive one day, you're fine, but we have a good time, I know the roads like the back of my hand.
That's true. Caleb's like the Olympics. Every 4 years it comes back. So
gold every time.
We didn't just start today with Caleb. Like, there's some other stuff that started with Caleb too. I'm pretty sure like everybody on the trip got sick. Pretty sure that started with Caleb.
Yeah,
he's a trendsetter.
Everybody gets a little bit. 23andMe, Caleb 23. I almost didn't even make it out of the airport in Tampa at 4 o'clock in the morning. So
That's true. One of the things we
It's all
hope to communicate is the camaraderie of this team. One of the things that Caleb's alluding to is that when we're down there, Ridge Point Church does have a reputation with the people that we work with of being a church that works hard and a church that plays hard. We got there, the first day is more you go to church, sightseeing, and we're laughing in the back of the truck. Like the stuff that comes out of Michael and Caleb in the back of the van the entire time has you rolling in laughter for many reasons, crying in laughter. So it's really, really good. But I want to share this because we do play hard, we have a good time, but also we work hard. And this team put in incredible work. In particular, Caleb, I know that Shelly, who's our fearless leader, has been seeing Caleb come since he was 15, and she's like, it's just so impressive to see how much he's grown. She's like, he's grown on me so much, I'm kind of missing that he might not be back next year. So Caleb, I know we joke a lot, but I'm really, really appreciate the work you put in because you put in a lot of work this year.
I mean, it's not just me, and I don't like being boasted up, but I mean, if somebody falls, there's somebody there to pick them up. I mean, you saw the picture of JJ, you know, holding somebody up on your shoulders. You know, it takes everybody, you know, feeling the need, hammering little nails to squeezing a board where it shouldn't fit, you know, or stretching a board to fit where it should, you know.
Some people took 12 hits to nail one of those nails, but I won't say who that was.
We won't pick on Karen, but you know. So absolutely, everybody has a purpose.
Yeah. We're going to transition now to Karen. Karen, unlike Caleb, who has been on many trips, this was your first trip. So I want you to talk about first impressions. We get to Honduras. What's your first impression of Honduras, of Project Rohi? What was that experience like?
To be honest, it was a little scary,
Yeah.
especially that first night when I was in bed and you could hear gunshots from the hotel room.
That's true.
That's fireworks.
Fireworks.
Yeah. Yeah. The hotel was really nice. The people were, oh my God, the children, they just melted your heart. I mean, it was a very humbling experience. It was just amazing. Even the dogs. I mean, you would pet the dog, and one dog, and then there was like 3 or 4 dogs around you. They were just starving for attention. It was just very humbling. I'm bringing milk bones and giving them to the teachers so they can give them to the dogs, because I just wanted to take the dogs and the kids home with me. They were just so, I mean, words can't describe it. I think everybody should go on a trip. I mean, it's just, yeah. And they have great taste in football. And you'll see that in a little
That's
bit.
true. Talk about putting out the welcoming committee. When we got there, they sent a bus to pick us up, and that was on the back of the bus. They must have known that the Patriots were Karen's favorite team. We were astonished. If you saw in the video, they actually had a custom-made RPC sign just for us.
Yeah.
They put in a lot of, but on the back, man, this was high quality.
Yeah.
They had a Patriot
great
sticker on
taste
the
in
back,
football.
so they knew that Karen was coming. So it's super exciting. Speaking of newer people on a trip, Joey as well. I mean, this was your first trip. I know that especially hanging out at the school. Now, they had 168 kids, was it total? 168 children. Their goal is to rescue those children that have been living and working on the trash dump and get them education. And in particular, we learned that as they get to middle school, that's where push comes to shove, because the parents really need those kids back on the dump, earning their $2 a day. So as they reach a crucial time, they want to continue to keep those children educated. But Joey, we all as a team saw you come alive working with the children there. So talk to us a little bit about what that was like.
Well, 4 or 5 years ago, when I first heard about when they came back I forgot all about that, all their experience, all that. So I really thought I was going for a working vacation in a third world nation. And man, they took us to the school, and they were doing their Monday morning devotional. You had all the kids lined up, and we came out around back, and they finished up, and all these kids just ran up and started hugging me. My eyes started sweating while I was there too, so I'm probably gonna do it
It
again.
happened a lot. It happened a lot.
But like probably 15, 20 kids just hugging me at one time, about to knock me over. I was okay. You know, it was all good. I followed these. They broke up into little groups and classes, and I followed. I think it was the first graders or second graders up the hill, and to see what they were kind of doing, just kind of learn. I didn't speak any of the language, and I don't speak any Spanish, but I walked up there and watched them, kind of standing in the back, and then I walked down the hill, and I came back up to them, and then I kind of moved over to the side where I could see their faces, and there's 2 little girls. They got me. They hooked me. And I'm not talking about like a little fish on the hook that can wiggle off and get off. I was the Marlin to their Hemingway. They had me. That's Sophie. Man. They got me.
Yeah.
And I know Shelly towards the end, who became my BFF at about Wednesday when I got sick. And Shelly, the over at Trash Mountain, our main person, towards the end, she started talking about guilt. And a lot of people come back and feel guilt. I didn't feel that. I think I would feel guilt if, knowing what I know now, seeing what I've seen, did not do anything. And my eyes, they just keep sweating every time I look at them.
And listen, there's someone out there, I know Dennis felt the same way. Dennis couldn't go on this trip, but Dennis's first experience in Honduras was very much the same way. Came in ready to work, and the kids ran up and gave him a hug, and Alan's first trip, but he had a chance to go on this trip, so we'll get a chance to share in a second. But as soon as we got back, both Dennis and Terry, like, he's going next year for sure, seeing all the pictures, so we know what that was like.
You can't keep me away from there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going back. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Great.
Thanks, Joey.
Tio. Got the tears flowing. Now, Alan, you've been, not just to Honduras, you've been to Honduras 3 or 4 times now, but you're a veteran of multiple mission trips to Ukraine and different places. But I remember distinctly, I think it was when we got off the van for the first time in the area right around the dump, where you step off and right away, you know, the smell hits you, the experience hits you. It's a different feel.
Yeah.
And you got off, and I remember you turned to me and said something along the lines of, feels like we're home, or something to that extent. Explain that to me.
I guess I have to answer it in two different ways.
Yeah.
Home's where your heart is.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joey. It was 5.
Contagious.
Yeah, it is. I think the first part is the team that you go with.
Yeah.
And I've told several of the guys on the team, Alan and Michael and JJ, I don't want to go on another trip without some of these guys because you're family. And just some, you know, you might I might include you if you go next year. But you know, we've been on several trips together and we've created these relationships. And so you take home with you, and you guys are family. And so I take you with me. And so it's like I don't really leave family, even though I leave my wife and my kids and my grandkids. I still have family with me. And so that sense of community is there, and we build on that community with new people like Karen and Joey. And Nashir and Doug I've known for a while, but they were new to the team. And so you just get this bond and knitted together community of people. You're sharing the same experiences. You're crying together.
Yeah.
The second answer to that is I think why I say that, or I said that there, and I've said it before, but when you go so many times and you get used to certain smells, and not all of them are bad, you get used to certain things that you see as you're driving down the street. I mean, Alan and I were talking, we made several comments. It looks like they cleaned up the street. It looks like it's nicer. And, you know, you alluded to the safetiness. And you just see things, every year you go, you see things change. But there's one constant. And that's the people. We haven't been in several years. And as soon as we walked into the church service, everyone's eyes lit up. And I know we're Americans and we're there to do something. And, you know, a lot of times people in other countries, when the Americans show up, you know, there's certain expectations. But the true love and warmth that you feel from these people makes you feel at home. I mean, I got in church and I felt like I was part of the congregation right away. Anytime we were on the job site, even the guys, the carpenters that we didn't know, made you feel like you were part of the team. You were part of their team and their home. Then you go to the school, and that's just a whole different ball game, like Joey was trying to say. And they get a hold of you, and you can't You can't get away from that. You can't get away from the love and the sense of family that you feel from the people there at the school. And they are truly, they're not looking for a handout. They're not looking for money. They are truly looking at you as someone to add to their family group because they love what you're doing and they care about you as a person. And we care about them as a person. And, we're not supposed to share our stuff on Facebook with them a lot of times. And what Shelly doesn't know won't hurt her.
She's watching you right now.
She knows.
She knows. She knows we don't follow the
I know. We don't. We're her favorite group, but we don't follow the rules. But we're friends on Facebook and on social media with some of those people, and we keep up with their personal lives, not just what's going on at Rohi, but everyday stuff with them.
Yeah.
And as the year goes by to the next trip, you know what's going on. So when you go back there, you're like, hey, how's the kids? How's this going? We saw this on Facebook. And so, when I get out of the bus and I smell the smells and I see the sights,
Yeah.
I hear some of the sounds. We're on the roof and you hear some of the sounds early in the morning. And then you see the people that you've made friendship and
right.
relationship. I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm home.
We even had some of our former bus drivers that weren't driving us this time came over to visit us because we hadn't seen them in 4 years. And, in 1 week, you're amazed at the relationships that you build with people that you only see 1 week out of the year. And sometimes it's the only time you ever see them, and yet they want to come back and visit you because they remember that 1 week.
It was like a reunion.
Yeah.
Like, especially this year. Like every year is kind of like a reunion,
Right,
but
right.
this year especially, we hadn't been in 4 years, and it was almost like we see people from year one.
Right.
And like you said, two different bus drivers
Yeah.
who weren't even a part of
Yeah.
the team, but they heard we were here, so they drove and came. And there was some sorrow too, because like there was a couple of folks that aren't around any longer. There was this little guy that,
Yeah.
I ironically, right? There's a little guy that, but he's.
When Michael calls you little, it's...
Yeah, but it's true. That's why we go. And so, but like he would be at the hotel, like selling shirts and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hats and things like that. And
Yeah.
and I had a feeling, but I was like, hey, where's the guy? And over the 4 years he had passed. So that was kind of it was kind of sad. But at the same time, we got to see a lot of the folks. I mean, truth be told, like, and JJ can attest. I think I know more people's names in Honduras than I know here in church, right? 'Cause-
Like it would be amazing. Michael walking up to somebody he hasn't seen in 7 years, and they're like, "Oh, that's so and so," and I'm like, "How did you remember that from 7 years ago?" And then a person that we met last week, we're like,
no clue.
"Yeah." So,
Yep.
but talk real quick because for our team, Michael's kind of our project manager.
He's the boss.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
lot that wouldn't get done if That's true. Listen, this year we built a bathroom, which was new, had a working
shower.
toilet, a shower-ish. But also, this was the first house we ever built that had electricity. So in the picture you see, in the video you see that.
I held the door for that shower, so I get credit too.
And first of all, Michael, we had a special. I know you've seen this picture on Facebook. We had Michael's iPad, which the project would not have gotten done if we didn't have that picture of Michael's iPad. And we joke around about that, but it's a piece of wood that Michael configured all these sketches on and figured out how much length we needed on a piece of wood. We really did use it for that purpose, but then we made humor about it afterwards.
Yeah, so I had, truthfully, what's on the other side of that was like the door measurements. It was, because that was like, that's the hardest part to figure out. Like the rest of it, you just put it on. If it doesn't fit, you put it on the board next to it, it moves on. The door actually has to work, right?
Yeah.
Like that's one of the pieces of it. So
Yeah.
the door measurements are on there. So, and I lost the first one. I had sketched it up the first day and then we came back and it was gone. So that's why I made it look like it did, because, I
Yeah,
wanted
people aren't gonna lose that.
to, fancy.
Next, the lady we were building the house for, she would clean up every day, and she
Yeah.
was out there working.
Yeah.
I mean, she was out there working
Yeah.
like we were.
Yeah,
She,
they really
she had
were.
a lot of pride in it. So.
And Michael, talk real quickly about for Next Senior Family, how life-changing was this from where they were living to where they're
Yeah.
living now?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can imagine, if you've been to the dump here, in town, there at the end of the parkway, like, you don't see people living there, right? Literally, we're at the base
Yeah.
of the dump.
Yeah.
Like, the road to the dump is right behind us. We went up the road to the dump to walk down or slide down to her house. Like, her backyard is the road to the dump. And she had a small shack, I would call it, right?
Yeah.
If that big, if that big. It was probably about 6 by 5.
Yeah.
But it'd be like building be like building a house on top of the mountains over there off the parkway. That's basically
Yeah.
what we were doing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it's-
so what it
every dump
means,
smells the same, so it's-
what it means for them is it's security.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, can you imagine, like, when I grew up, like, you didn't lock the door, but now you lock the door when you're home,
Yeah.
right? And for them, their door was a tarp.
Yeah.
The tarp was the door prior to us coming, and the really cool thing is now, you know, not only is there electricity, I mean, that's a nicety, to be
Right,
honest.
right.
Like, for us, it's a necessity, right? My internet went down for a day and a half, and we almost had a mutiny at the house. But like, for electricity is a nicety, but that set of keys,
Yeah.
that set of keys for them is going to sleep, not worrying if someone's gonna come in the house.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Now, the house is life-changing for them, but you said something along the way of, during the trip of, for us, there's really almost the bait to get you there, but that what we're doing is more important than that.
yeah,
So
the
talk
house
about
is the hook.
Yeah.
The house is the hook. Like, because I'll be honest, like, if we stood up here and said, hey, I want you to take a week's vacation to go to Honduras and play with a bunch of kids, like, the ladies would sign up, but like, the guys would be like, I'm good, right? And so,
Joey disagrees. Joey's face when you said that was like, what?
Alan said it best. The house is just a cheese for the mouse.
yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, you have to have,
right.
you have to have like a purpose,
Yeah.
right? And so I can tangibly tell you about building a house for someone. What I cannot tangibly tell you about is when you get off the bus and 500 kids come running up to you and break your heart in a way that it needed to be broken, and you're never the same since.
Right.
Like, I can't physically tell you how that's going to happen, but I can physically tell you that Nexie's going to go from living in like a shack with cardboard and tarps to a home. And I can physically tell you that. So that's why I say that's the hook.
Right,
Because
right.
really,
It's important.
if we didn't go, and I've told the team this like at least a dozen times, like, if we weren't there, God would build the house. Like, there's contractors there, like they would get the house built. The house isn't just the hook for us, though. So here's the other pieces. The house is pivotal for so many reasons, but it's not pivotal at all. It's pivotal because it's what gets us there, but it's also the hope for the families, because it's kind of like the lottery. There's 150 families at Rohi, okay? 2 of them got homes this year, right? Like, that math's better than the lottery, but it's still not that great. And so because I may have to wait 75 years before I got mine, right? But what it does is, to get the home, the kids have to be in school instead of on the dump. And so that is the hook for the families. Like, there's a hook for us to get us there, for God to break our hearts.
Right.
That's the hook for the families to keep the kids in school, so that they change their dynamic, they change their family tree.
I know there's a lot that we can share. We have another part of the team that needs to get up here. We're going to eat up all their time. But I'll do something as we close out. Joey said, I don't care about this. As we close out this time, I'm asking
One
Alan.
thing, the food was amazing.
Yeah. I promise you, up here with this team, as they're watching, as the Taco and Tente came up there, they started cheering. The food was that good, especially when we went there.
But my favorite was the Rohi food.
Yeah,
Oh,
and we're going to talk about that a little bit in the next session. But Alan, would you kind of pray for Project Rohi and the people there right now? And we'll get ready for a couple more songs.
Father, thank you so much for giving us, this group of 12, an opportunity to go and share what you've given us. In one way or another, you broke all of us down. You broke our boundaries down. You broke our inhibitions down. You helped us play with kids where maybe we wouldn't play with kids. You helped us pound nails and boards where maybe we're not so good at. You gave each and every one of us an opportunity to not only love people that we don't even know, but be loved by people we don't even know. As much as they think we did for them, Father God, you did so much more in us. And as many places as you've taken me, I feel privileged that you've taken me to Honduras. And so, Father, as the next group comes up and we continue to talk about the things that you've shown us, the things you've done in us, as Michael prayed earlier, I pray that, Lord, you would soften the hearts of those that are here, those that hear us online, those that are here in the congregation, that, Father, not only would they hear what we're saying, but someday make that choice to experience it themselves. Life-changing. Your word sometimes goes out without us even saying a word. It's our actions. And Lord, I pray that we made you proud with our actions. Thank you for what you've done so far in this service. Continue to move in and among us, and we'll continue to give you the praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up till I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the good.
On behalf of Trash Mountain Project, thank you for investing in the incredibly difficult work that Rohi Project does. Your team not only provided a safe, dry home for the Bautista family in the midst of the rainy season, but also brought encouragement to the students and staff at Rohi. While the house is life-changing for that family, your serving alongside the Rohi staff is life-giving to them as they minister to the families of the Tegucigalpa trash dump day in and day out. And choosing to eat lunch at Rohi to be able to play with the kids brought them immense joy, and also gave them moments where they could just be kids and not have to worry about the adult responsibilities they hold in their families. Your team loved well, and in each instance it looked different, but always emulated Christ's love. With the family, involving them in the house build, with the Honduran workers on the construction site, using little bits of Spanish and joking with them. Getting to know the Rohi staff as people and not just employees, and playing that one last round of tag when you just didn't have energy to run anymore. Muchas gracias.
Of the team that could not be with us, Ed's on a hunting trip. But if you don't know Ed, a lot of us only knew Ed in passing. It's Karen's boyfriend. He was going on a trip, and to meet Ed on the trip and to really learn a lot about him. He's a retired cowboy and was just incredibly beneficial on the trip. But there's a point that we were playing a game where you had to like run around the kids and climb through their legs and all this stuff, and Ed was out there doing it. Like, it was incredible to see that. One of the things we've never been able to share before, because Trash Mountain normally doesn't engage in this, but in this trip they allowed it, is we actually have pictures from the trash dump. Normally that's not something to do. We couldn't share these on social media, but this morning, as asked Michael, the first question in the second session, you're going to begin to see some of those pictures. So Alex, if you could start scrolling some of those pictures on the dump. But Michael, for you, I want to pick up where we left off, because relationships are so essential to everything that we do. Particularly going up to the dump this year. For all of us, it was powerful. For you, it was almost miraculous what God did. And I want to share that story this morning.
Yeah, so one day every trip, we take food up to the dump, food and water, and we hand it out to the workers there at the dump. And again, like, if we weren't there, somebody else would do it, okay? So that's really not the thing. I mean, but it is good. Like, there's a few times during the trip, like, that are powerful, right? One is church day. Mm-hmm. One is the first day you meet the kids, and one of them is the dump. And so, yeah. So the first year that I went, Josh and I went, we built a house for Antonio and Dadiana, and Antonio works on the dump, and he was there. He would come in at the end of the day, and he would help us to build and work, and so we just build a relationship with these people, and that was 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Right? And he works on the dump, and mind you, the dump is a really big place, and it's controlled by gangs, and they tell you what section you can work in. So there's multiple sections where they drop different things, like different trucks go this way, different trucks. And so, like, running into someone at the dump that you know is very slim. Running into someone every single year, the 1 week that we're there out of the year, every single year, is even, it's kind of like the difference in playing Little League football and then playing like high school football and then college football and then making it to the pros. Like, we're making it to the pros if you see somebody every year, right? I have seen Antonio every single year that we've been there. And every single year, and I'll spot him from a distance and he'll spot me from a distance. Now, I know I'm going, right? And I know that he works there, so I'm looking for him. But he saw me this year, and it's so amazing that he saw me, and he kind of did the nod, like, because that's how we speak to each other, right?
That's all Michael has.
Un poquito. So, but like, we didn't even hand out. I didn't even hand out any food. Like, I saw Antonio, and I'm like, hey, I'm headed over here, and we just had a conversation, and it wasn't just like, hey, how's it doing, and like news, sports, and weather, like we got into some deep stuff. Like, we were talking about Israel while we were there. I mean, it was, and the other thing I'll say too is, like, you said it, like, the people, like, they become real, right? And For him, like, he's real because the first couple of times things are good, and then I remember one year we went and he didn't look good. And so just being real, I'm like, dude, you don't look good. What's up? And his wife had left.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, man, listen, I'm really sorry. And we prayed together and stuff like that. And this year he looked great.
Yeah.
He really looked good. So I say that to say that, you know, he has ups and downs too, just like we do. Like they're real people that have bad days and bad weeks and bad years. And they turn around and things get better. So.
And to put that in perspective, Michael was praying before we even
Yeah.
got there for us to meet up with Antonio. And I kid you not, like, I was standing next to him, and the first person that walked up, like, from a distance,
Yeah.
but he was the first
The
person we
second
saw.
person I saw in the dump was Antonio.
Out of all these sections that we could have gone to, the one section we went to was where he was, and he was right there.
Yeah, I was washing my hands at the
Incredible.
school before we were heading up to the
Yeah.
dump. I'm washing my hands and I'm like, you know what, God, it'd be really cool if I saw Antonio today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second person we saw
Yeah.
when we got there.
Alicia, as she got to be known in Rohi. Man, I think that for both the couples up on the stage, you guys did incredible jobs at being very intentional about creating relationships while we were there. But you in particular got to know a lot of the people at Rohi. So talk to us a little bit about what Rohi is, what it even stands for, what they're doing, and how those relationships were key.
So Rowie is a mission that basically just, they dedicate their lives, they protect these kids, they feed them, they educate them, they teach these babies about Jesus. They are just an amazing group of individuals. There's 16 between total, the leadership, the teachers, the cooks, and these people give it their heart and soul. I mean, they have a passion for these babies, and it's just, it's mind-blowing to watch what all they do for them. Rowie means the Lord is my shepherd. You know, they want these families to know, you know, that, you know, God's going to protect them. And many of these kids, you know, if they're not in the school, they're going to be up at the dump and working, and it, you know, it's just not a good place for them. And these teachers that we've got to know a little bit more one-on-one, it was amazing to me. I mean, I know this time it just seemed like we were able to spend a lot more time with them, get to know them better, and just seeing their passion. The Monday morning when they do their devotions, it's so cool just seeing these little bitty kids. They're just praising Jesus as well, and you know, they're teaching them right, and it's just amazing to watch that.
Their focus as a school is extremely on discipleship, and so they start off the week, not just the staffing and devotions, the entire school breaks up and they do devotions as a school. So really powerful to see. Anything else at all about that?
Well, I was just going to say, for me this year, coming back, I did have a hard time getting back. You know, you built so many relationships with these individuals, and, you know, for the hardest time, about a week into it, I was telling Alan, I said, I just can't get through it. And he was like, you know why? And I was like, why? He said, you have built so many relationships this time and received so many new friends. And it's just, these people are, you know. But, and it is true. I mean, this, you know, it's not our mission. It's not RPC's mission. It was God's mission, and He orchestrated the whole thing. And it was amazing to watch it play out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Speaking of building strong relationships, Nashira, you know, you got a chance to build especially one very intentional relationship. You and Doug, from the moment we got there, we sat down at lunch the first day after church, and you began right away getting to know the family, but then God opened up a unique door for you. So tell us about that. That was really cool.
So I kind of got forced to sit where we sat on Sunday after church with Diane's mom, and Diane is the, I want to say she's like the director of the Rohi project, and so she kind of asked me to sit with her mom and her sister because I know Spanish, so I could talk to them. So it was my first day there, and so I was already like forced to like make relationships, and that's really hard for me. But I was like, okay, here we go. So I just started talking about food. we were out for lunch, so I was like, what better way to, I don't know, let's talk about food. So I just kind of started asking about like what we were gonna eat, which were pupusas. And Doug is from El Salvador, and so he was always telling me that that's a food he grew up on. I had never heard of that before. So we got to eat pupusas in Honduras because Honduras and El Salvador, they're very similar. So I was talking to Miss Erica, the cook of Rohi, and she was telling me, she's like, yeah, we make pupusas all the time, and I know they're not Honduran, they're from El Salvador, but like we've taken it on ourselves, you know, to just make it our own. And so I asked her, I said, can you teach me how to make pupusas? Because my husband loves pupusas, and I don't know how to make pupusas.
He's not the only one. Just saying.
So she immediately was like, absolutely, yes. One day this week, I'm going to make sure to teach you. And I was like, listen, if it's going to make any difficulties for us, like, it's okay. I'll come back another time and learn, you know? But she made it her mission to teach me how to make pupusas. So food was the way that I got in there. And that's pretty much all we ever talked about, just food and recipes and things like that.
And then at the end of the week, she gave you a special gift.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to try not to cry. So she...
You're not winning. You're not trying very hard.
I know. Okay. So we were trying to, I forgot what we were doing. We were going back to the house. It was the last day. We were going to present the keys to the family. So everybody was like, where's Shelly? Where's Shelly? And I was like, I don't know, but everybody needs to go up the mountain because we need to get up there so that we can go to the house or whatever. So I'm like telling everybody, go up the mountain, meet us up the car, whatever. So I'm like the first one up, telling everybody to come up. And all of a sudden the teachers are like, hey, they're calling you at the bottom of the mountain. And I'm like, why? We need to go. And they're like, go down there because I think you're in trouble. And I was like, what? Me? Okay. So I'm going down the mountain and I'm like looking at the teachers and they're like, yeah, Diane is calling you. She needs to talk to you. And I was like, oh, snap. Okay. So I'm walking down there and I'm super nervous. And I see Diane and I'm like, hey, do you want to talk to me? And she's like, yeah, my mom needs to tell you something. And I was like, okay. So Doña Erika, she's like, hi, I just wanted to give you something just because, like, I really appreciate you guys and everything that you've done. So she gave me, like, her personal, it's like a cooking thing. It's called an anafre. And so that's where, like, they make their beans and you can put, like, a candle and keep it warm and whatnot. And, like, we all love that thing. Like, we were all like, where can we get one? So when she gave that to me, and it was, like, her own thing, like, like, they don't have much.
Yeah.
And so, like, for her to give that to me, just,
Yeah.
it was very special.
It was a really, really personal trip. We saw so many opportunities like that. I'll let you collect yourself. We'll go to Doug here. Doug, one thing we've not mentioned, Doug's like, thanks.
I was trying to hold back the tears.
Who's going to let Doug collect himself?
Doug, one thing we haven't talked about yet was the first day there, we go to church. And I think church set the stage for the entire week. Pastor Arturo's message, everything about that. So talk about what it was like going into that church service.
Yeah, it was, for me, it was one of the most impactful parts of the trip. I like to be very punctual. I don't like to be late. And we were late often on this trip. So God was working on that for me. But so we're running late. And one of the reasons why I don't like coming to church late, I guess I have this thing where if I walk through the doors late, I feel like everyone is staring at me, and they know I'm late, and I don't like it. But this time we're running late for church, but it's a group of us. So I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna feel like I'm gonna stand out and stuff. So we get to the church, and we're walking in. I'm not the first one in because because we're late. And they have ushers greeting us, and then the ushers they were finding us spots in the congregation, like open seats, and they were sitting everyone. So Nashira and I were like, we weren't like towards the last, we're like in the middle of the group. And the usher was behind me, the usher sees me, and they lead me to find a seat in the congregation. And all of a sudden, they're just leading me all the way to the front row. I'm like, oh my goodness. Everyone's staring at me. But I'm like, it's all right. I have my wife with me, so it's fine. So I find my seat, and then I turn around to let Nashira sit next to me, and she's not there. She just stayed in the back. She found her own seat in the back. I look back, I'm like, okay. But Joey was always also in the front. So Joey and I, we sat in the front. He was on the other side of the building. And one of my favorite parts of the church there was just seeing Joey up front. Just the whole time he was smiling, smiling, and it was funny because I know he didn't understand anything, but he was having such a great time.
No, there's a great story there.
There is.
Because Joey, they had a translator, but she only came up to translate during the message.
Yeah.
And so the whole service is in Spanish. There was one song I think that we all kind of knew, but the whole service is in Spanish. And then all of a sudden, the pastor starts speaking, and she starts translating. Joey thought he received the miracle of tongues. Like, he thought he was serious and thinking, like, whoa, I hear English. like he was. It took him a second to realize it was a translator, so that's pretty.
Yeah, so it was fun seeing all that, and yeah, Joey speaking in tongues and stuff. That was cool. So the service already started during worship, and Nashir and I, we both grew up in just Hispanic churches, so it was nice just hearing worship music in Spanish again with a good congregation. The message was great. He talked about the Good Samaritan, and his main focus was, as Christians, as the church should be, like if someone's physically coming into the building, we should help them. Like, these are people that are coming in who are broken. They have different, different stories, different things they've gone through. And so he talked about, as Christians, if we haven't really experienced Christ and we haven't changed, how are we going to be able to help these new people coming in who need that help? And he gave a lot of examples of how Christians who haven't experienced Christ tend to just judge the new people because of the different vices or whatever they have going on. But the main focus or main point was, like, as Christians, we should be able to help those around us who need help, which was great because we're there to help. But what the biggest impact for me, and this was, like, I guess more personal for me, it was during worship, we were singing songs about joy, about hope, so like we're in the church and you quickly forget you're in Honduras. Mm-hmm. You forget that we're in the churches in that same community with everyone else in the dump community. They're singing so loud. They don't have a band. It's just a YouTube track. They have playing along. They have the lyrics up front. They're singing so loud, songs saying that I know God has, I know God has not forsaken me, and I know He's gonna help me through it. And me personally, throughout the years, I have gone through different, my ups and downs through faith, a lot of doubt. Is this even real? Is there hope? Is there hope for me? And being there, I just felt like they have a reason to have those doubts, being in that situation, in that environment, and it just sounded like their faith was so strong. Yeah. So that was my experience there. So that was very refreshing.
Yeah. Real quick talk, anybody can answer this one, but there is a moment, and I know it touched this Alan and Michael a lot, but as close as we got to Rohi, Thursday night we had dinner there. And we walked in, again, this is a school that they don't have a whole lot. And this is the first time ever they said, we want to do a meal on Thursday night. Most of the time we go out to eat, and food's really good. But Thursday night they said, we want to do a dinner for our team and your team together. And so we walked in. Now, mind you, they've been at school all day. We've been up on the trash dump, building houses. We're sweaty. We're stinky. We don't look all that good. And we walk in, and they had made, I think we actually have a picture of the room when we walked in.
So at some point during this trip, for whoever goes, there's a point, right?
Yeah.
Like, and we talk about that before we leave. Like, there's going to be a point where God gets you. I'm a tough guy, right? I've done this, been there, done that, whatever, right? 5 different times. I'm good. Like, God's broken me. There's no more pieces left. And even San Antonio, like, I was good.
Yeah,
like, we were
right,
cool.
right.
We get off the bus, and I turn the corner in the doorway, and they've taken, this is where they have school, okay? Like, where you saw the desks and the kids and everything else, they've moved all of that out, and there's white tablecloths. Amazing Grace is playing
In English.
when you turn the corner.
Yeah.
And I didn't tell you this, but it's my granny's birthday that day, and just like so, and I had to walk away. Like, I had to walk away, and then I see Alan, and Alan's going a different direction because we can't look at each other because we're going to be like a puddle of mush, and like it was just because here's the thing is like they've been up since dawn, getting things ready for these kids, like getting breakfast ready for the kids, and then as soon as that's done, they're working on dinner for these kids because like it's not like they've got a full-blown kitchen. They've got a hot plate and a fire that they're cooking over, right? And so they're working on lunch for these kids. And then they're working on sometimes stuff to send home with them for dinner sometimes and clean up and everything. And they found time like to do this. And it wasn't part of the budget that we sent down to it, like for the little bit they had, they shared it with us. And that was really what got me.
One of my favorite parts of that night was because they wanted us to try to sit, not just our team together, but the staff with us. And, at first you're sitting there and you're in this circle. The food was amazing. I think we've already talked about that, but, you're sitting there and you want to talk, you want to communicate. So pulling out our phones, Google Translator, thank goodness for that app because you could actually communicate back and forth with Mercy, and we were showing pictures of her kids, and I was showing pictures of ours, and to me, that was where the relationship and the friendship really, before long you looked around and it was just like you're sitting at Thanksgiving with your family around the table. I mean, that was a touching night. And I mean, I did feel guilty for, they did bring out the best and it's like, who are we,
Right, that's true. Picture this for Erica. She cooks for 168 kids on this 2-burner hot plate using propane. One of the neat stories that God allowed us to be a part of is that we tried to raise funds to build 2 homes, and we fell a little bit short of that. So Shelly, while we were there, said, hey, we have some extra money. What do you want to do with that? And the 2 greatest needs were, number one, they want to be able to take the middle school and high school kids to a camp that was a couple of hours away, but they didn't know how they're going to raise the funds for that. And so because the extra money we raised through the barbecue, they had the money to take those kids. They're going to be going to camp here shortly. And then she also said, hey, there's more money in the Trash Mountain account. I said, well, what's next up? And she said, man, they'd love to have a stove. She said they almost burnt the place down using the propane. Something had exploded and it almost caused a lot of damage. So while we were there, we were able to give approval as well as say go ahead and do that as well. So that was really cool. So hopefully Erica doesn't have to cook on a hot plate any longer, but has an actual stove to cook on. Alan, I want to wrap it up with you. I think for all of us who've been on multiple trips, we've seen God use this trip to change you entirely. So talk a little bit about what you've seen God's Spirit do in your life through this. I know even the first trip we came back, and Alicia, you saw him and said, I'm going next year just because of the fellowship you saw on the team. And so Alan, talk about that.
Yeah, thanks for the pressure. I'm still haunted by Karen's voice. Every time I look at my refrigerator, I see water.
Listen, where's Karen at? Karen, can you come back up here a second? Because we practiced this all week long.
We tried to convert her.
We're already a little bit of overtime. But Karen, we practiced water all week long. So can we have the microphone down here for a second? And then I'll let Alan wrap this up because this was really important for us.
This is the real pressure.
Water.
Hey. That's pretty good. Was it all the way there?
Yeah.
No? Okay, a little bit better?
Un poquito.
Okay, try it one more time.
Okay. Do you want me to pronounce it with the R or without?
No, without the
Wait,
R.
Okay,
Like,
water.
yeah, water. Look
Water.
at that. Everybody get up for Carrie. There's something she said earlier, and I looked at Al, and I saw you laughing. The camaraderie on our team was huge, but getting back to more serious.
Yeah, I first went in 2018, and my first day was a disaster because I'm thinking build a house.
Yeah.
And we show up at a park, and Alan Tackett walks up to me and goes, "Hey, you want to do a vlog with me?" And I'm like, "I don't even like to get my picture taken. And this guy wants to do a vlog, and I'm just out of my comfort zone."
Yeah.
And I also, like Joey, I had a little girl come up, and I blew her off for 2 days. She had snot running out of her nose, boogers hanging out. She wouldn't leave my side, touch me on the arm, and I'm getting alcohol out. And I would hide to not have to deal with that, and I kept moving around. But she never gave up on me. She was 4 or 5 then. At 5, she's now 12. God will find a way. Yes, we have found her. Michael has taught me rules are to be broken. So you find them, they find you. You figure out a way how you can help. And, he's too close to me now. My comfort zone used to be 10 foot. Now I'm good because I sit in a van with 13 other people and everybody stinks. It's just, it's not
Caleb's
fun.
got something communicable.
Yep. Caleb gives everybody Caleb 19. So God got me out of my comfort zone. And I had told Dennis, who was my roommate the first year, the first day I went, "Nah, this is it for me. I'm a one-timer."
Yeah.
And when I came home that first week, all I could think about was, will that little girl even make it to the next year I'm here? And what could I do? And so that's my story.
So, can I just say though, like, I don't know if I've even told you this, but like Alan's the reason I continue to go back, because like I saw what God lodged in your heart. We see the most through deltas, right? The differences and the difference in Alan. Because I'll be honest, you were kind of a jerk. And you're a lot less.
I'm a little rough around
You're a
the
lot
edges.
less now. But no, like to know Alan was rough. Alan was stoic, and that trip, and I pinpoint it of when we got off at the park and those kids bum rushed you, and your heart broke into a million pieces, and you couldn't find all the pieces to put it back together, and so I like that really for me is the reason we keep going. I've said it before from up here that. Like, we give to change their life. Like, we changed one family's life through a home, through your giving and our giving. We go because it changes our lives. Yeah. And you're the biggest change that I've seen
I agree.
as we go.
And I think we have all learned, because we call Michael El Capitan. So we cannot do what we do without him and that iPad. He can. The rest of us, it would take us 6 hours to figure out a plan. He kicks that stuff out. I'm proud of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, we worked hard, we played hard, we had fun. But even, the bus driver commented on how they had an American team there a couple months before and how much more fun this team was. But then the workers commented on how before they didn't know what they were doing. Now we knew what we were doing. Well, there were about 3 people that actually knew what they were doing, but they coached us well. So really incredible trip. We know we couldn't have done it without everybody being a part of that. This team was pivotal. But every single one of us played a role in fundraising, in praying for us and supporting us, in people dropping us off and picking us up at the airport. There's so many people that were involved that this really was a more than even what our church was able to do. So really from the bottom of our heart, we want to thank everyone. We believe in serving across the world, but we also believe in serving across the street. Next week, we're actually doing our Serve Day here locally. We're doing a couple of different projects. Michael, why don't you talk real quick about Serve Day, and then we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, so, we just talked about how we serve abroad, right? And then the Bible talks about we go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the edges of the earth to spread the word and to serve. And so I know not everybody can get on a plane and fly across the Gulf to South America, to Central America to do these kind of things. But Serve Day's coming up this coming Saturday, okay? This Saturday from 8 to 12-ish. But roughly from 8 to 12, bunch of different opportunities. You don't have to be able to climb a ladder. You don't have to be able to stick 5 nails in your mouth at one time. Like, all those skills aren't necessarily there, but I mean, there's a couple different opportunities. Faith Extreme Resource Center, Habitat for Humanity. There's some yard cleanup and fence repair that we're going to do around here, around the community. We'll be inside here painting some areas. Like, if you can make it here, you can serve. There's some way that you can do it, okay? And so you heard the stories and the camaraderie that happens when we get together, and like, it's the relationships and the family that's built when you serve beside somebody. I mean, you can sit beside somebody and that's fine. It's when you serve beside somebody that you become family. And so this is an opportunity to do that. So this Saturday, 8 to 12, you can sign up. I think there's that QR code with a little dinosaur in the middle of it. Hit that, sign up for it. And that way we know how much breakfast and lunch is going to be provided. So, kind of get here a little bit before 8, and then we'll be done a little bit after noon. And it's just a really good time. And it's how we give back to the community as well. It's not just about overseas. It's about, like JJ said, across the street. So be sure to sign up for that. The other thing I want to mention is, and we'll talk more about it as it comes, but just want to put it on your radar, church picnic is the Sunday after Thanksgiving, 11/26, the Sunday after Thanksgiving. It's going to be at Simmers Young Park. We'll talk more about that, but just want to kind of put that on your radar. And then lastly, thanks for being here. Really, thank you so much for being here. This is the day. Like, I love this day. Like, I can't wait to go back. We saw the pictures, and I'm like, man, what are we doing next week? Like, I got some vacation. Let's get on a plane. And but I really appreciate you being here, listening to our stories. If you have questions, if you want to talk about it, we would love, I guarantee you, we would all love to share even more stories with you, okay? We would really love to share the plane ride and the bus ride with you next year when we go back, right? But just come, if you want to talk to us, if you want to pray with somebody, we'll be here, okay? But if you have a connection card, drop it in the slot on the way out. Otherwise, we'll see you Wednesday for midweek and next Sunday at 10 o'clock for church. Thank you guys. Have a great week.